Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're somewhere comfortable right now.
Yeah, hopefully lounging a bit.
Exactly. Maybe you've got the lights dimmed or you're sinking into that favorite chair that's shaped exactly like your spine.
Or maybe you've just got a nice drink in hand.
Right, a nice drink. We are going for a very specific vibe today. Relaxed, chilling, just two friends, unpacking the mechanics of the universe.
It's really the only way to tackle the material we have today. If you come at this too tensely, you're going to miss the point entirely.
You really will.
In fact,
Right.
tension is basically the antagonist of today's story.
It is. It really is. But before we even start pouring the metaphorical drinks, we do have to get the housekeeping out of the way.
The mandatory disclaimer.
Yes, just a quick heads up for everyone listening. This podcast is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes.
We are here to learn, to explore, and to expand.
And specifically today, we are exploring session 400 of the Seth Material.
Session 400.
It sounds like a secret agent designation, doesn't it? Session 400.
It does, but it's actually a very specific record from March 20, 1968.
Which puts us right in the thick of the counterculture revolution in America. But our setting here isn't a protest or a massive concert.
No, it's much more domestic than that.
Right, we aren't at a sit-in. We're at a supper table in Elmira, New York.
Just a normal Wednesday night.
Exactly, 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. We're with Jane Roberts, who channels the entity known as Seth and is referred to in the material by her entity named Ruburt, and her husband Robert Butts, who is referred to as Joseph.
And they're just having dinner discussing their creative blocks.
Yeah, and that domesticity is what makes this session so incredibly powerful. It starts with the mundane, like, I can't get this painting right, or I'm stressed about my writing.
And Seth takes those everyday mundane worries and just pulls back the curtain to reveal the psychological and metaphysical machinery running underneath.
We should definitely mention, for anyone new to this, that the source material comes from the early sessions, Book 8 of the Seth Material, published by New Awareness Network.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is, but if you're expecting floating tables and ectoplasm immediately, you might be a little surprised. This session is almost like a therapy session for artists.
It really is. And the mission for this deep dive is to look at Seth's specific humorous and really profound advice on creativity.
And the trap of perfectionism,
Oh, the paradox of trying too hard. I think this is my favorite part of the whole session.
the Saint Overnight Syndrome.
The Saint Overnight Syndrome. I just love that phrasing.
Because we've all been there, right? You decide you're going to get your life together, you're going to eat clean, wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, write a novel, and be kind to everyone.
All starting tomorrow.
Exactly, starting tomorrow. And you try to do it with such intensity that you actually rigidify.
You make it impossible to succeed because the energy behind it isn't growth, it's aggression.
That is exactly what Seth calls out Jane for in this session. So let's set the scene a bit. Jane, or Ruburt, has been working on her psychic development.
She's trying to be a really good student of the universe.
Right. She's trying to correct her bad habits. And Seth looks at her and basically says, chill out.
He says she is hammering again.
Hammering! That's such a visceral image.
Yes, Seth notes that he has been hammering again, though now he hammers with a better purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a smile noted in the transcript there.
Seth sees the humor in it.
He totally does.
Eh.
Jane realized she had some bad habits. She decided to change them, and now she is attacking the good habits with the exact same aggressive energy she used to have for the bad ones.
It's like trying to relax with a vengeance. I will relax now.
Precisely. It's the spiritual equivalent of gripping the steering wheel until your knuckles turn white. Seth says, and I love this quote, now that he is good, in quotes, he need not make a saint of himself overnight.
That is the bumper sticker for this deep dive right there. You need not make a saint of yourself overnight. It's such a relief to hear that, isn't it?
It really is.
Because usually self-improvement content is telling you to optimize harder. Just push through.
It is, because the underlying mechanism, Seth is pointing out, is that when you try to force spiritual or creative growth, you are using the ego to dictate terms to the inner self.
And the inner self doesn't work like a drill sergeant.
No, it works like a garden.
Yeah.
You can't scream at a flower to bloom faster.
So what's the prescription then? If hammering is bad, what's the alternative? Because Jane still wanted to improve. She still wanted to be psychic.
Play.
Play.
Seth prescribes joy. He tells Jane that she doesn't need to spend 24 hours a day thinking about the work.
Right.
He says when he is going about household chores, for example, let him give his mind a rest. Concentrate upon the chores joyfully.
Joyful chores. Now that feels like a stretch for me personally.
Right.
Joyful dishwashing. Joyful vacuuming.
It sounds like a tall order.
Yeah.
But it's about mindfulness, really. It's about being in the moment rather than agonizing over the next psychic breakthrough while you're scrubbing a plate.
Giving the mind a rest.
And he goes further. He suggests she needs other interests to refresh her. Dancing, gardening, painting.
Things that have absolutely no stakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you engage in a creative act just for the joy of it, without trying to publish it or sell it or have it be a psychic revelation, you signal to your inner self that it's safe to come out.
You take the pressure off.
Seth says he can afford to play.
He can afford to play. That is wonderful. It reminds me of that feeling when you're a kid and you just draw because you have crayons, not because you're trying to build a portfolio.
Right. And interestingly, this trying too hard actually caused a bit of a mishap for Jane the night before this session.
Oh, right. The ESP class incident?
Yes. Jane had been holding an ESP class, which she did regularly,
Right.
and she tried to contact a newly dead friend of someone in the class.
And she felt she made a connection, but it was
off. It felt strained.
Seth confirms the connection was there, though, right?
He does. He says there was a connection, but circumstances were not good at the other end.
That's such an interesting phrase. Circumstances were not good at the other end. It implies the person who had passed over wasn't exactly in a position to chat, maybe?
Exactly. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you're constantly available for a cosmic Zoom call.
Right, they have their own stuff going on.
But the key takeaway for Jane was that she had simply done quite enough that evening. She was pushing for one more miracle, one more proof, because of this saint overnight attitude.
She wanted to be the A-plus student who gets the connection every single time.
And the lesson is boundaries. Even in psychic work, maybe especially in psychic work, you have to know when to clock out.
You cannot force the flow. If you hammer at the door of the spirit world, they might just lock the deadbolt.
Yeah, they might.
So that's the advice for Jane. Stop hammering, start dancing, do the dishes with a smile, and stop trying to be perfect instantly. But then Seth pivots.
And this is where this session gets incredibly deep.
Yeah.
He turns his attention to Rob Joseph,
The painter.
the painter, and he starts dissecting Rob's art style. Now imagine this. You're an artist. You spent years developing your style. You take pride in your technique.
Yeah.
And a disembodied entity starts psychoanalyzing your brushstrokes.
That would be absolutely terrifying. Here's the psychological reason why you draw lines that way. It feels incredibly vulnerable.
It does, but it's done with such love and insight. Seth starts talking about Rob's love of the land, and specifically his draftsmanship.
Draftsmanship. We're talking about precision here. Realistic lines. Architectural accuracy, not abstract splashes of color everywhere.
Correct. Rob painted with a very high degree of realism. He captured the object, the apple, the landscape, the house perfectly. He wanted to get it right.
And usually we look at that and say, wow, he's so talented.
And he is talented. Seth acknowledges that completely.
Yeah.
He says the technical ability is a brilliant tool of his art. But, and here's the twist, it was also a protective mechanism.
A protective mechanism. Against what?
Emotion.
Whoa. Okay, let's unpack this. How is drawing a straight line a protection against emotion? I usually think of art as an expression of emotion.
Seth takes us back to Rob's childhood for this. He mentions Rob's mother. Apparently the household Rob grew up in was filled with emotionalism.
Which implies chaos. Outbursts.
Seth describes it as threatening and in a free form. Rob never knew when the emotion would erupt.
Oh, man.
As a child, he felt helpless before it. It was like living near an active volcano. So he developed a deep distrust of strong, messy, uncontained feelings.
I see where this is going. If feelings are messy and scary and free form,
And then you find safety in structure, in precision, in lines that define exactly where one thing ends and another begins.
so his art style, this beautiful, precise realism, was actually a way of putting the world in a cage.
Imprisonment is the word Seth uses, though, in a very nuanced way. He says the precise delineation helped create the subject with almost supernatural precision.
Supernatural precision.
Yet the lines also serve to protect you from that which you were painting and from the feeling involved.
That is mind-blowing. Protect you from that which you were painting, as if the apple or the tree has an emotional charge that Rob needed to contain.
Everything has an emotional charge. Life is vibrant and chaotic. Rob wanted to capture it, but he also wanted to be sure, and Seth says this explicitly, you wanted to be sure that you were using your emotions or feelings and not that they were using you.
That is a profound insight into the control freak in all of us, honestly.
It really is. Think about how we organize our lives today. We make lists, we categorize, we label things.
We have apps to track every minute of our sleep.
Exactly. Why? Because if we don't, we fear the chaos will overwhelm us. Rob just did it with paint.
It's like he was saying to the apple, I will paint you, but you will stay right there inside these lines. No surprises, no outbursts.
Yes, Seth says through precise renderings, you felt that you imprisoned it and therefore controlled it.
So for years, this actually worked for him. It let him be an artist. It let him use emotion without being consumed by it. It was a highly functional coping mechanism.
Yes, and Seth validates that. He says without this technique, Rob might have been too frightened to paint at all. It was a necessary bridge.
But bridges are meant to be crossed, not lived on.
Precisely. And that brings us to the real crisis point in session 400. The old way isn't working anymore. Rob is feeling stuck.
He feels imprisoned by his own paintings.
The jailer has locked himself in the cell.
A perfect analogy.
Seth connects his feeling back to Rob's parents again. He said Rob felt his parents were imprisoned in their house. He calls the house an emotional framework. And now Rob is building the exact same framework on his canvas.
And this is where things get a little spooky, honestly, because Rob's frustration wasn't just a mental block. It was manifesting physically in the real world.
The case of the fading colors.
Tell us about this part. This is one of those details that makes you sit up straight and realize this isn't just abstract philosophy, it's mechanics.
Right, so Rob had been complaining that the colors in his tempera paintings were fading. He thought it was the paint quality or the light in the room or maybe the paper he was using.
Which are totally reasonable assumptions. That's what any of us would think. Just a bad batch of paint.
But Seth says no. Seth tells him the change in the colors represented a sort of poltergeist activity on your part.
Poltergeist activity, initiated by his annoyance.
Yes, his inner frustration with this dilemma, this feeling of being trapped by his own style, plus the background stress of his parents' situation was so strong that it was literally altering the pigment on the page.
That is wild. We usually think of poltergeists as throwing plates across the room or slamming doors in a haunted house movie. But here it's just gently fading the red paint.
It's random activity, Seth says. But it shows the incredible power of the mind. If you are fighting yourself, if you are at war with your own creativity, that energy has to go somewhere.
It doesn't just vanish.
No. In this case, it attacked the work itself.
So Ro isn't a real bind here. His technique is a defense mechanism, but it's stifling him. His colors are fading because he's annoyed. What is the solution? Does he have to throw away his brushes and start finger painting?
Does he have to abandon structure entirely? No, and this is the absolute brilliance of Seth's advice. He doesn't tell Rob to destroy his technique. He tells him to reprioritize it.
Vision first, form second.
Exactly. Seth says the technique can follow beautifully through as a handmaiden of the intuitions.
A handmaiden, a servant, not the master.
Right. Up until now, Rob was letting the technique dictate the painting. He was thinking, I can draw lines like this, so I will paint things that fit inside these lines.
And Seth is saying no. Start with the vision, start with the feeling. Let the vision flow out, and then use your technique to support it.
There's a beautiful visualization Seth gives here, actually. He tells Rob to imagine the inner vision flowing through the mind outward freely onto the board.
Let it flow outward.
Then let your flawless technique follow the vision, and on occasion help define it.
On occasion, help define it? That's a massive demotion for the technique. It used to be the boss.
It's a complete realignment. Seth uses a parenting metaphor here. He says a parent should not try to force, but follow the child's natural bents.
The vision is the child.
And the technique is the parent. The parent shouldn't crush the child into a mold. The parent should support the child's natural growth.
I feel like this applies to so much more than just painting.
Oh, absolutely. It's universal.
Think about writing. How many people get stuck because they are obsessing over grammar or structure the technique before they even know what story they want to tell?
Or coding. Trying to write perfect optimized code before you've even sketched out what the program is actually supposed to do.
Yeah.
You build a perfect cage for an idea that hasn't even arrived yet.
Or even relationships. Trying to define the relationship structure. Are we dating? Are we exclusive? What are the rules? Before you've even allowed the connection to breathe and show you what it actually is.
It's the universal struggle between control and flow. Rob chose control because he was terrified of flow. Seth is telling him it's safe now, you can trust the flow, your technique is good enough to handle it.
Do not impose a form upon the vision. Let the vision dictate its own form. That is the mantra.
And if he does this, Seth promises that the form will be seen to vibrate. Yes. For then the form and the vision are one. When the technique serves the vision perfectly, the painting comes alive. It stops being a cage and starts being a portal.
Which brings us perfectly to the apple.
The apple.
Because Seth isn't content with just fixing Rob's psychology. He wants to fix his metaphysics too. He wants to change how Rob sees the physical world entirely.
This is section 4 of our deep dive, the consciousness of the apple.
Seth totally challenges Rob's definition of realism here. Rob thinks he's painting a realistic apple because he gets the shine on the skin right. He thinks realism is all about surfaces.
But Seth asks, what is the skin of an apple? Rob sees it as a solid, dead surface. Seth sees it as a community.
Community of molecules.
The quite living consciousness within the molecules that make up what seems to be the solid surface of the fruit skin.
So true realism isn't painting the surface at all. It's painting the vitality inside the surface.
Seth tells him this is realism. Realism is more than the surface of things. He wants Rob to sense the vibrating, always changing reality within.
That sounds incredibly difficult to paint it. How do you paint living consciousness? How do you paint the hum of an atom?
Seth gives a massive clue involving time. He advises Rob to paint the land in terms of its past, present, and future.
Paint the future of the land.
Yes, to see the object not as a static thing frozen in a single millisecond, but as a process. An apple was a blossom. It'll be compost. It is currently a fruit. The real apple is all of those things simultaneously.
So if you paint a portrait of a person...
Seth suggests you try to see him as he was in past lives.
Wow. That will add depth and dimension.
It acknowledges that no form is permanent. And remember, Rob's old style was all about permanence, making things static, locking them down safely.
And Seth is pushing him to embrace the impermanence, the transition.
Beautiful form, but already in transition. That's poetic.
It is, and it's a direct challenge to Rob's deepest fear. Rob feared the free-form emotionalism of his mother. Seth is showing him that everything is free-form. The whole universe is in transition. You can't lock it down. You just have to flow with it.
This also touches on the materials Rob uses, which I found fascinating. The psychoanalysis of paint types. I didn't know paint had a psychological profile.
This part is great. Seth breaks down exactly why Rob uses certain paints. Let's run through them. Oil paint.
Rob likes it. He considers it basic and powerful, but he avoids it. Why?
Yeah.
Because it represents raw emotion, which he fears.
Because oil is messy.
It blends. It takes forever to dry. It's hard to control.
So he avoids the medium that actually matches his passion because he's afraid of the mess. He's afraid the oil paint will get out of hand, just like the emotions in his childhood home.
Exactly. Then there's acrylics.
The modern quick-drying stuff.
Rob dislikes them. He feels they are over-refined and too far away from basics. They feel too plastic, too artificial for him.
So he's stuck. Oil is too scary. Acrylic is too fake. What does he use?
Tempera.
Which is, exactly.
It's an ancient medium, usually egg-based. It dries fast. It's matte. It allows for very precise lines. Seth calls it a resting place during his dilemma. It was a safe compromise.
But the colors were fading. Even the safe place wasn't safe.
Because you can't hide in the safe place forever. Seth's advice on materials is the same as his advice on style. Stop thinking in terms of the medium.
Let the vision choose the medium.
Yes, do not try consciously to settle upon any given medium or consciously try to set up a lifetime program. Just let the vision come. If the vision demands the raw power of oil, use oil. If it demands the precision of tempera, use tempera.
It's about surrender.
Radical surrender. Surrendering the need to control the process. Trusting that the inner self knows how to paint better than the conscious ego does.
You know, taking a step back, the session is from 1968, but it feels so relevant to the hustle culture and the creator economy we live in right now.
How so?
Well, we're all obsessed with optimizing our output. We want the perfect morning routine. We want the perfect tech stack for our workflow. We act like if we just find the right tool, the right temper, we'll be happy.
And we try to hammer ourselves into being better people. We track our sleep, our steps, our meditation minutes. We treat our souls like projects to be managed.
And Seth would look at us with that humorous, emphatic delivery and say, you need not make a sink of yourself overnight.
And he'd tell us that our rigid schedules are just lines we draw to protect ourselves from the chaos of being alive.
That hits home. It makes you realize that sometimes the structure we build is just anxiety wearing a suit.
It should hit home. The message of Session 400 is that safety is an illusion. You can't draw a line around life and keep it safe. But the good news is you don't need to. You have an inner vision. You have intuition. And if you let that lead, you don't need the cage.
Vision leads, technique follows.
That's the law.
Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to that poltergeist thing one more time because it's just such a fun, weird detail.
It really is.
If Rob's annoyance could fade the red pigment in his painting, what are we doing to our reality when we're walking around annoyed all day?
That's a sobering thought.
Mhm.
Are we breaking our cars? Are we crashing our computers? Are we wilting our houseplants just by being in a bad mood?
Seth implies that consciousness creates matter. So yeah, maybe that traffic jam didn't just happen. Maybe we all poltergeisted it into existence with our collective stress.
A mass poltergeist event. I like it,
Yeah.
or I hate it. I'm not sure. But it certainly makes you want to watch your thoughts a little closer.
Which honestly leads me to a thought I haven't been able to shake since we started prepping for this.
What's that?
Well, if Rob's rigid structure and suppressed emotion was causing the paint on his canvas to literally degrade, what are we doing to our own physical bodies when we force ourselves into rigid structures?
Oh, wow.
If we're hammering ourselves to be perfect, ignoring the free-form reality of our emotions, are those unexpressed emotions creating micro poltergeist events inside our own cells?
Manifesting as physical symptoms.
Exactly. We think of poltergeists as affecting the room around us, but our bodies are the closest physical matter to our consciousness. Maybe chronic tension or unexplainable fatigue is just the fading paint of our own physical canvas.
That is profound. It really reframes the mind-body connection, not just as a health concept, but as an actual physical manifestation of resisting the flow of your own life.
Well, it's definitely something to mull over while you're joyfully doing the dishes tonight.
Joyfully. Don't forget the joy. If you're scrubbing the pan and hating it,
Yeah.
you might dissolve the metal.
Absolutely. Listen, we have only scratched the surface of the wisdom in the Seth Material. We've covered session 400 today, but there are hundreds more.
If this resonated with you, if you felt that little ping of recognition,
Yeah.
then you really owe it to yourself to go to the source.
Don't just take our word for it. Go to sethcenter.com. Specifically, look for the early sessions. You can find this material in Book 8.
Reading Seth isn't like reading a textbook. It's an experience. It changes you as you read it. It's distributed by New Awareness Network, and they are the custodians of this incredible legacy.
So visit sethcenter.com/early sessions, pick up a book, start your own deep dive.
And remember, don't hammer. Play.
Keep your visions flowing and your technique following. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good night.
Thank you.